Welcome back to the Awfully Good Podcast with Rich and Mike. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm so fucking tired right now.
Dude, we just went over all the playoff, scenarios on tiebreakers. And how much did you enjoy that?
About as much as I enjoy talking to Keller.
It was terrible. We had to go through the NFC and the AFC, and both conferences had like a ridiculous amount of tiebreakers. Wait to the AFC. The AFC was just a clusterfuck. The NFC was pretty bad, which I thought that was rough. But having to go through all the common opponents and shit, my goodness.
Like, I didn't even know that things. I don't understand words anymore now. Numbers are just done for me, and percentages and all that kind of stuff.
At least we got it sorted out. We think. We believe
hypothetically it's sorted out.
Right, hypothetically, because assuming that we know who's going to win, we think that the majority of the games we think we know who's going to win. There might be a game or two that could go the other way, but for the most part, I'm pretty confident that we got the records right at the end. But I'm not 100% confident that the tiebreaker is going to go to what we think it's going to go to, even though we looked it up on Google and it should.
There's a mild percentage of chances that we are off base, but I'm okay with it because I'm not doing it again.
No,
not happening.
That was such a headache.
Do you want to get the AFC? Well, before we get all to the actually, I don't want to forget because we didn't write anything down because we're idiots. No. Let's just get right into it before I forget everything.
Okay, so let's just start with the NFC because the AFC is going to get kind of sketchy there.
Are you sure? Because that was a lot of information that I'm going to lose.
Okay, well, let's go with AFC because I think you're right. This was much more of a headache there. And we're going to forget so much. We probably already forgot some of this. So what we came out with was the 1 seed is going to be the Texans, right?
Potentially, yes, assuming certain things happen that I assume are going to happen.
So
if the 1 seed.
If the Texans win tonight, they're guaranteed a bye, from what we can tell.
Yes.
If they beat the Bears, they get home field. If they lose to the Bears, they're the 2 seed.
Correct.
The 2 seed right now would be the Steelers, not the Broncos.
That is also correct, and is going to get even more interesting than that as we go along.
Because the Steelers have the better conference record. If teams are tied in the same conference, it goes head-to-head, and then it goes conference record, not to common opponent yet.
We just figured out.
We just figured that out. Right. So it puts the Steelers at the 2 seed. If the Texans lose in Week 17 and the Steelers win, Steelers get the 1 seed, Texans get the 2 seed.
Hypothetical, but it's whatever.
Right. Either way, the Texans are going to get a bye, and it looks like the Steelers are going to get a bye if they win out. Well, if the Steelers win out, they get the bye.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they can get home field advantage if the Texans lose to the Bears.
Correct. Let's not overthink it, though.
Good. So the 3 seed now. So you would think the 3 seed would be the Broncos, right? Because they're at the top.
But let's just say it's not because it's not.
So they're not. The Chiefs actually take the 3 seed. The Chiefs win the division because they have the better record against common opponents.
Which is a stupid tiebreaker that I hate.
It is ridiculous. But that's what it comes out to. So we have the Chiefs with the 3 seed. With the 4 seed,
the Jets
obviously cannot be the Broncos because they don't win the division. It's the Jets, like you said. The 5 seed. So now we have a 2-way tie for the 5 seed between the Broncos and the Bengals currently, assuming all teams win out.
Which is a big hypothetical because the Bengals do play the Cowboys, who are not a terrible team all the time.
Bengals have the only matchup in that's a toss-up right here, besides the Texans-Bears. But it's the only matchup that I would say it's kind of a toss-up. But we're going to assume the Bengals win.
Because it makes it easier.
Correct. Now, if the Bengals lose, I don't think we talked about this. If the Bengals
I don't want to. Let's not pretend it doesn't happen.
It doesn't matter. Jaguars cannot make the playoffs.
Ha!
Jaguars, even if this finished 12-4, because the Bengals and Jaguars would have the same record, but the Bengals would have the better conference record, even if they lost. So now we know for sure that the 6 teams in the playoffs, it's going to be probably the Bengals at 5 and the Broncos at 6. If the Bengals,
Hold on a second. Did you just say the Denver Broncos, who were the #1 team in the AFC, who were 11-0, are going to be the 6th seed?
yes, they dropped to 6 at 13-3.
Oh
They're
my
the
God.
6th seed.
That's ridiculous.
So that's worst case scenario. Best case would be if the Bengals lost, then Broncos move up to 5. So is that best case? I don't know. They end up playing at 5. They end up playing the 3 seed. No, they end up playing the 4 seed, which is the Jets. That would be a hell of a game to watch. So, in fact, did they play this season? And I think I don't know.
It's all a blur now.
Yeah. So either way, we know these are the teams. We know, and all our math should be right. We sat here and went through all the numbers, and this is what it should come out to. The Jaguars, sorry, Brett, can't make the playoffs at 12-4, man.
And just for the record, just because you're 12-4 in the AFC with the Jaguars doesn't mean you'd be 12-4 in the NFC, bitch. Anyways, so
just throwing shade for no reason.
Let's say what we just said happens. So the first round matchups would be the Jets versus the Bengals.
Broncos.
No. Jets would be 4. Bengals would be 5.
Correct. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So Jets versus Bengals. Who do you got?
Jets, Bengals. I got to take the Jets.
I don't know.
No,
I think I'm going to take the Bengals.
I think it's a coin flip, man.
It's a really good game. That's a game I want to watch, though. That's what I'm saying.
Well, for sure. Earlier in this season, I think it's RKO hands down because he was like red hot for a while. But then, and I don't know now. I mean, he's kind of trailed off.
I think his run. I think Telvin Coleman got hurt, and it kind of ruined his mojo.
Oh,
I know those feelings. I've been there. It's okay. You'll get over it.
It's a good game. I still think RKO is the favorite here.
I think I'd say he's a favorite, but I think NB what he's doing with Mariota is pretty good. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's a great move to pick up him, that asshole.
Mostly because he beat me, but whatever. We'll forget that happened.
I was trying to get I had Mariota. I had him. And off to the Bengals he goes.
Oh, sad face.
Anyway, so Jets, Bengals. I think I take Jets, you take Bengals.
Okay, so then now we're talking 3 versus 6 Chiefs, Broncos again.
For a third time. They split during the season. And I still think at this point, the way the Broncos lost the last 2 in a row, I'm going to take the Chiefs there.
I think you have to, just because one's, more on a roll than the other. Maybe Denver gets some of its mojo back after he beats up the J-Shock in Week 17. Unless, J-Shock, surprises everyone in the world and wins that game.
Like he almost did today.
I don't know. That wasn't really a surprise to me. But I don't know. I lost my train of thought because I was throwing shade.
You're too busy throwing shade for no apparent reason, as usual.
So, okay. We got Denver and then a mixture advancing. Or no, Kansas City, not Denver. Oh, so confusing. No.
So the Chiefs are the 3 seed. They would play the 2 seed.
Yes.
No matter what.
We are assuming is going to be the Steelers.
Correct.
And then you would have the Texans versus either the Jets or the Bengals. I'm just going to say that I think the Texans win either of those games.
I agree. I think no matter either game, Texans win that game.
Especially if the center is allowed to run the ball.
Yes. That is true. RFF won that game. That center sneak played a big part there.
I'm not going to say that's why he won the game.
I didn't say that's why.
I'm just going to say it happened.
It happened at a very key moment in the game. It was very opportune moment.
But so we got the Texans moving on.
Yeah, Texans are going to win that game.
And then you got Pittsburgh versus Kansas City.
I take Kansas City.
Yeah, no.
It's hard. I mean, it's hard to decide there, but
well, when you're talking about 6 different 12-win teams, you're splitting hairs.
Well, that's true.
Very fine hairs. And I guess I'm going to take the better quarterback, which is Pat Mahomes, skill-wise in the game, not user-wise. That's what I'm going to do.
I mean, I think it's the Chiefs. I don't see how it's not.
Yeah, I think he's got the better roster, and I think it'll push through. I know, like, I'm not saying Arlen can't win it. I think it's a coin flip.
No, but looking at like I like looking at points for and points against, and like the Steelers at 473 for and 322 against. That's a quite a big difference from the Chiefs 496 for and 237 against. So the Chiefs have the better offense and the better defense over the whole season. In a one game vacuum, maybe not, but over the whole season. So I'll take the Chiefs there. That's kind of the main reason.
So we've got in the AFC Championship game, the Houston Texans versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I think I'm going to take the Texans. I think he's on a roll. I don't think he's going to lose for a while.
I want to take the Texans because I want to see somebody else represent the AFC in a user season. I think it's a good matchup. I think it ends up being a high-scoring game.
Have they played yet this cycle? I don't think they have.
I don't think they have. But, yeah, I'm going to take the Texans too. I think the Texans do it. He hasn't lost since week 2.
Correct.
So it's hard to say, he'll lose late here. He's playing well. Yeah, I think so.
All right, we have our AFC representative as the Houston Texans. Now we move over to a much better conference, mostly because I'm in it and because it's easier to figure out who's going to be in the playoffs and where. Not super easy.
Wasn't that much easier.
I mean, we were still learning at this stage.
Let's just say it was easier, but it wasn't easy.
Hypothetically, I'm wondering if we did the NFC wrong now because of the things we learned afterwards.
Well,
I'm going to ignore that and just continue on with whatever we said, which I've already forgotten.
Yeah, we'll just look at it now real quick. So right now we're looking at the Saints are the 1 seed, the Bears are the 2 seed.
Yes.
But if the Bears
lose,
we figured this out. If the Bears lose and the Cardinals win out, they have the same record. So it goes to conference, which would still have the Bears as a 2 seed.
So the Bears are locked in? Is that what we're saying?
No, because the Cardinals can win out and the Bears lose. Cardinals get the 2 seed. So this is what can happen.
I see what you're saying. The Cardinals would have 12 wins.
Right. If the Cardinals win this week, they haven't played yet, but if they win this week and they win next week, they get 12-4. Bears finish 11-5. I have the tiebreaker with the Cardinals. I won head-to-head, so I get the 1. Cardinals get the 2.
Okay. So are we sticking with that?
Yeah, if we're assuming that the Texans are going to be the 1 seed in the AFC, we have to assume the Bears are going to lose. So that would mean the Cardinals are the 2 seed, Bears are the 3 seed.
All right.
So we'll go with that.
With the best seed at 4 is me.
The Giants at the 4 seed. That leaves,
as God intended,
for the wild card, a tie with the Pack. Assuming all these teams win and I lose is another thing. I have to lose here, but I still get the 1 seed if me and Cardinals tie. So Vikings, Packers, and there was another one. Wasn't there? Seahawks. Vikings, Packers, Seahawks. So what we've come to figure out is the Vikings and Packers goes to common opponents. They're in the same division. They split for the season, I believe. It comes to common opponents, and the Vikings take the Packers out.
To preface that, when you have a 3-way tie, you have to eliminate one person first, and the way you do that is if there are 2 of those teams are in the same division, you eliminate one of those 2.
By going to the division tiebreakers. And the division tiebreakers go by head-to-head, and then it goes common opponents. And the Vikings have the advantage in common opponents.
Correct.
So that takes the Packers out, which leaves us with the Vikings and the Seahawks. And that was it, right?
Does that take the Packers out, or does that put the Vikings ahead and then it's Packers versus Seahawks?
Yeah, I don't know.
See, I don't even know.
I don't know. I think we just assume that it takes the Packers out.
Basically.
I think it does eliminate that team. I'm almost positive it does.
All right. So sorry, Husker. You fought valiantly, but in this hypothetical situation that we're probably way off base on, you're out of the playoffs, buddy. So you got Minnesota as a 5, Seattle as a 6, correct?
Yes, Seattle ends up with the 6. If that eliminates the Packers, but actually it doesn't matter because even if it goes to Packers, the Seahawks I think have the advantage because then it goes to conference, which is NFC. No, they don't have the advantage, so that does matter. Son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch, we don't know. Okay, we don't know. I assume it. Like I fucking dare somebody else to figure this out. I dare you, somebody besides RFF.
I mean, we had it figured out, man. That's
I
what's
think
kind of
we
annoying.
think we had it figured out, but now I'm confused if we did in the first place.
Well, we think we had it figured out because we're assuming that it eliminates one of the teams, and we don't know for sure if it does.
I'm sure somebody will come along and tell us.
Did the Packers play the Seahawks?
I don't fucking know. Do I look like a goddamn encyclopedia of knowledge? My name is not Britannica.
I don't see it on there. So I think it eliminates the Packers. We're just going to assume that it eliminates the Packers.
It makes it a lot easier because we already did it.
It does. I don't think it would go to. Yeah, we're just going to do that. So that puts the Vikings at. We'll say the Vikings are 5, Seahawks are 6.
All right. I mean, there's also the hypothetical that Green Bay loses week 17.
And none of it matters.
Yeah. I mean, anybody could lose week 17, but that's the most likely scenario that we saw.
Yeah. So we have Saints 1, Cardinals 2, Bears 3, Giants 4, Vikings 5, Seahawks 6.
So your first round matchup in the NFC would be Giants and Vikings and Bears versus Seahawks.
Giants Vikings. I'm going to take the Giants in that game.
That's a terrible idea. You're ignoring history as it speaks. Things happen for a reason. I get the 4 seed. I play the 5 seed. I play a very okay game except for 2 plays every game where I lose tragically. It's what happens. What God intended.
I also took you in playoffs in season 1 and you let me down.
Yeah, so stop picking me, motherfucker. It's your fault.
But see, the Vikings got hot, but they beat a lot of teams that I think I talked about in one of the other podcasts or something, where they would have a stretch where, or it might have been in the power rankings, where they would have a lot of easier opponents.
What do you
and
think?
They would get on a run, and that's what they did. But then they beat the Bears, which was surprising. And then you end up losing to he beat the Falcons week 14, and then lost to the Texans and Packers. So
he's up and down.
He's up and down right now, but he's in his last one. Well, he's doing pretty well there, I guess.
I'm just going to point out that I never beat him. So I beat Isaiah, I beat Husker. I never got to beat Big K. So either I'm never allowed to beat Big K, or it's redemption time.
I think it's redemption time.
Let's go with that.
I think the Giants win that one. So are you taking yourself there too? I mean,
God, no! I'm picking the Vikings if this actually matters and we're keeping score.
Okay, well, that leaves the Bears and Seahawks. Who you got there?
I don't fucking know. That sounds like a boring ass game of everybody just running the ball.
It does.
Which is ironic for me to say, but whatever. I'm leading the league in passing yards. Get on my level. I'm going to say the Bears just because Khalil Mack exists, and I like having random points of emphasis.
I'm going to say Bears because I think they have the better offense.
Overall, yeah. Cohen's a cheat code. Penny's kind of a cheat code as well.
Well, Keenum's not bad, though, and he has good receivers there with, was it Robinson and pretty good tight end. think he just has the better offense, better offensive
Are you
line.
talking shit about Lord Mason Rudolph? I know you are not.
Is he starting Rudolph?
That's who
Over
Seattle.
Is Teddy hurt?
I don't even know. I don't pay attention.
Yeah.
I just know that's who we started in our game.
Either way, I'm taking the Bears there.
Yeah. So am I.
So that puts the Bears playing the Cardinals and either the Giants or the Vikings playing me.
All right. Well, I'm going to take either the Giants or the Vikings destroying you.
That's a good pick.
Hopefully there's a center sneak involved because that would be ironic.
Both times I've played the Vikings, there was a center sneak.
And then you said Bears versus – I'm going to say Bears.
Bears versus Cardinals. Yeah, I still think that ends up being Bears. That sucks because Felger's had such a good season.
He has. And you talked – I'm not saying you talked shit about him pre-cycle, but you just didn't know who he was. I knew who he was, and I had faith in him. I'm just saying I was here for you.
I definitely did not talk shit about Felger pre-cycle. I don't know where that came from. All I said was
basically. You basically talk shit about him.
How is basically no. That's not even basically talking shit. That's just saying I don't know.
Hypothetically, you talk shit about him.
In your mind.
Metaphorically.
Okay, so but on the other side of this, why would you say the Giants or the Vikings beat the Saints in the divisional round?
What do you mean?
What's the reasoning behind this?
Because you don't even care that much anymore.
Well, that's beside the point there. But I haven't lost to the Vikings yet, and I don't think I've lost to you this cycle. So why would I lose?
We've only played one game, and that game does not count, and you know why.
And I won that game.
And you know why it doesn't count.
Why doesn't it count?
Because it was bullshit.
Because you lost?
No, it was not because I lost. It was how I lost. Because
you got destroyed by the Saints? I mean, like most teams did?
Did you, like, throw it to your wide receiver who ran literally through a safety versus everyone else?
I don't remember that.
Did you run glitch plays versus everyone else?
I would never do that.
Did it versus me twice.
No, I did not do that.
Fake bubble screen and play extra crosses.
We're just making stuff up now.
I could find the DM where I immediately told you to fuck off. And
yeah, but
you said I only run it one time.
Yeah,
that's my Louisiana accent.
That was pretty terrible.
It's intense.
Anyway, I'm going to take myself to win that game because I have to have some confidence. So I end up playing the Bears, and the Bears end up beating me. And it's the Bears in the Super Bowl again for the third year in a row.
I honestly don't know who's going to make it in the NFC, but I don't think it's going to be the Bears.
Why?
I don't know. It's just a feeling I have. I'm not allowed to have a hunch.
No, you can have a hunch. Just
how many baseless statements have I made up to this point? You think
all of them? Every single one of them?
I wouldn't say you should never talk in absolutes around me. That's just you're cruising for a bruising right there, buddy. But anyways, so our hypothetical Super Bowl is Chiefs, and we don't even have a hypothetical Super Bowl. It's because we're picking different teams there over. We should probably have come to a consensus. That would have made this sound better.
Probably, but we didn't, so it doesn't.
I mean, it already sounds a little jumbled up, but whatever. Fuck it, we did it live.
Either way, we have the Texans against the Bears, is what I think, and you have the Texans against anybody else but the Bears.
Yeah, sort of, basically.
But
Texans versus a field.
We very much could see the Bears and Chiefs again.
Yeah,
and if that happens, we might as well all just stop playing because what's the point?
No, that's when we bring back Warren.
Well, that's true.
Warren Jaguars.
Warren anybody.
I don't know.
Warren Jaguars would definitely be.
What is the worst team in the game right now in our league?
The Giants with the worst GM in the league.
Whoa, bro. Cutting me deep.
Who is the worst team? The Dolphins?
I I guess. I can't even think of because rosters before, I doubt the Colts roster is that much better. I doubt
The-
the Dolphins roster can't be much better because that dude can't even speak English.
You don't speak English good, boy.
I don't understand the words coming out of your mouth.
Let's see here. 49ers roster's okay. I think it's the Dolphins. Dolphins have to have the worst roster.
Yeah. Patriots actually might be up there. I don't know what
That's fair.
Fumble is doing.
I mean, the top players on the Dolphins, 84 overall, Rashad Jones, Jawan James, Josh Sidney.
The top players in 84 overall.
Yeah, 3 of them.
Dearest of gods. And I thought he was just really bad at the game.
Well, he's got Ryan Tannehill.
I mean, they can both be true.
Well, that's fair too.
All right. So we picked our Super Bowl winner. Now what?
I mean, we could talk about how the season went, but it's kind of pretty obvious. I think it's nuts that the AFC is going to have a 12-4 team not make the playoffs. That's kind of.
They're going to have 10 teams potentially win 10 games. 10 teams, 10 games.
Yeah, that's almost not fun. I mean, it's to have to win 13 games to make the playoffs. That's a bit ridiculous, man.
Assuming you're one of those teams that didn't win 13 games.
So, but here's the question, though. I think is it because there's 10 teams that are good enough to win 10 games, or are there just that many bad teams in the league right now?
In the league or in the AFC? I don't know.
Just in general, because they're not just playing the AFC; they're playing some NFC teams too. So, I mean, is that the case? Because the NFC is kind of the same thing. We don't have the same. Well, we can have what 1, 2, 3,
7.
4,
I think
5,
it was
6, 7 teams with 10 wins.
That's a lot.
We can have 17 teams in the league have 10 wins 10 or more wins this season.
That's over half the league there, buddy.
Yes. That's pretty good math by you. So
I occasionally have my moments.
So the question is the other, 15 teams just shit? Or is it really good users that we have that are 17 really good users?
Well, it's obviously not 17 because I'm one of them, but.
Well, that's true.
I don't know. I don't want to shit on everybody right now because I have a headache.
I'm not shitting on anybody. It's a fair question to ask. Is it because the users are that good, or is the bottom of the league that bad?
My question to you is this parity?
I don't know.
Having 17 teams win 10 games parity? I'm not saying that as a negative or a positive.
No, I know what you mean. You're just asking if that's what parity would be in a Madden league.
Because parity is like, anybody's got a chance. And 17 teams seems like a lot.
It does. There's 17 teams competing for the playoffs. Well, there's more than that, actually.
I mean, when you factor in guys that are going to finish 8-8 have been competing for the playoffs.
Yeah, we have the Rams, the Cowboys, even the Redskins were competing up until late.
I'm gonna throw out a fact here. I think Perry's gonna win the division season 5. Random fact.
We'll see.
Because he's trending upward, and I am steadily plateaued.
But you're on a nice little plateau there. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, the point is, to answer the question, yes, I do think that we do have parity. I think it's closer than it looks.
It's not parity in the sense that you're going to have different teams in the playoffs every year a lot. Like the AFC seems pretty set every year of who's going to be in it.
Yeah, is there any different team in the AFC this year? Well, the Jaguars don't make it and the Bengals make it. That's the difference, right? Or is it Steelers?
No, it's the Steelers because the Bengals made it last time.
Okay, so it'd be the Steelers. And then it's not like the Jaguars are any worse. They're 12-4. They could finish 12-4 here, so it's not like they dropped off to let somebody else in.
Right. I mean, they're technically better because they're not run by a complete shithead, just like a partial shithead.
Right. I don't know if Brett's as good as Wakanda can be.
I mean, it depends on your definition of good.
This season he has been though. He has been just as good, if not better, than Wakanda for sure. He's
I
beat.
don't think Wakanda was very good to start out.
Well, he was cheesy, but
He's always cheesy. That's not the point. I think like he's always been cheesy and he always will be cheesy. This is Wakanda I'm talking about, but passing wise, he was not very good season 1.
No, but it's like I said in our first podcast, I mentioned Wakanda, saying that season 1 he probably would win the division, but it's this season 3, is where I thought he would be the favorite to win the whole thing, and he ends up being a dick and trying to tank.
Trying to tag with one of the best teams in the league. Good job, buddy. You're an idiot. Moving on.
Oh, we got a new user today.
Oh my God! Let's talk about breaking news.
Yeah. So
Cheagles? I was trying to come up with a nickname here, and it's just escaping me.
I think Cheagles works, but you put too many E's. It just do C. Of course, that could be almost like cheaters, but to CHEAGLES.
I feel like when you take out the Z, I want the Z in there. Cheese ghouls.
They could work.
It sounds weird, but whatever. Cheese is here, everybody.
But basically, Acer got trolled into leaving until he left.
Which, here's the thing. It's kind of shitty that people can't leave a dude alone. But first off, he had some attitude that he didn't need to have. And if you are the type of person that can get trolled out of a league after like half an hour of conversation, then you shouldn't be here anyways.
I don't know. I mean, I agree with some of that, but I'm an old guy. I don't like the trolling. I don't like it. I don't like it in general.
Like I only found out that he left.
I'm the old get off my lawn guy, so that's
I understand that, but you gotta hang out with us young bucks for a while,
right?
Because I'm so much younger than you and better looking. But
probably,
because I only actually found out because I went to message him not to feed the trolls, and I wasn't allowed to message him because we weren't part of the same server.
I didn't know until you told me. I wasn't paying attention.
Well, it didn't do the message thingy on the Discord thingy, and everybody was confused about that.
I just saw that. I saw Z-Car's message, which I thought was funny. Where he made the comment about the you can message there, but you can't message here. And then he comes back with a little bit of attitude,
right?
And it seemed like it was just miscommunication between both of them, because I think Acer just didn't see the tag from yesterday,
which is fine. But he had attitude. If he had just said, "Oh man, I'm sorry, I missed the tag. You can have the W." My bad.
Well, but at that point, he didn't even know there was a tag. All he said was, all C-Car said was, "You can't respond there, but you can respond here," or whatever it was. He didn't say anything about a tag. Then he responded with, "I tagged you," and never heard back. And then other guys jumped in, and that's what I think that's really what set him off. Because if Z-Car just comes back and says, "Hey, I tagged you yesterday," or whatever, and you didn't respond, then it may have changed the whole direction of the conversation.
I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying shit happened. And here's the thing. He's already proven to be the kind of guy who will quit a league randomly.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to defend the guy either. I think he's kind of whatever, leaving like that was kind of dickish anyway without saying anything. But I will say, no, I'll just leave it like that. I'm not going to say anything else.
No. I'm not going to let you. Bring it out.
All right. Well, let the two guys that are having the issue handle it. Don't jump in and make comments and jump in on the conversation. Just let them handle it, because he wouldn't have quit today if other people weren't jumping in.
You don't know that, though.
No, but I'm pretty sure that's what would have happened, because all he would have said was, "Sorry, didn't see it. You can have the win. I can't play tonight," and that would have been the end of it.
That'd be nice, but
that's me. That's just me. That's what I would do. With again, I'm the old get off my lawn guy. I don't like whatever.
Life moves on.
Yeah. So now we have. I thought for sure Greatness was going to jump up, but I just know he's going to be on the fucking Falcons again somehow. It's going to happen.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I just think it's going to happen.
Are you? Dear Ace, Falcons, stay on your team for the rest of the cycle.
Yes.
Because it's funny to me.
No matter what.
Because nothing would be more funny than Greatness Titans. Shit, I just mentioned him. Fuck, I said I wasn't going to do that. Fuck.
So after all this, we got after the playoffs, we're gonna have the draft, free agency, the whole thing. We are gonna do a sim season next, right?
Correct.
All right. So it's 5 and 6. We play back to back. So we're gonna do a sim season and then play back to back seasons, and then we sim season 7.
I'm not really interested in doing a postseason podcast because I don't have any draft picks. Not that I ever did before.
I don't either. I have one. I have a first round pick, and it's gonna be a late pick.
Draft picks or whatever.
Yeah, I'm so down on the draft now. Anyway, is there anything else we want to talk about here?
I don't know. I feel like there should be. How long have we been talking? It doesn't seem like that long.
An hour and a half, maybe.
No.
No, it doesn't give me a time thing. It just.
Here's the thing. We have been talking for like 3 hours because I want everyone to understand how long it took to do the fucking playoff seeding shit. Because if that was our podcast, oh my God, you would not have been able to understand any of it.
No, you're right. I think that's why for the most part, our podcasts always feel much longer than they really are. Because we spend a good hour to an hour and a half before we even start the thing talking. And then sometimes we even don't even realize that we should be doing the podcast.
Like sometimes what we say off camera, if you will, sounds pretty good and probably could be the podcast. What happened today should never be heard by anyone ever again.
No. Today would have just been confusing and annoying to listen to. But you're right. There are times where the pre-podcast is better than the podcast.
There's also an after party that is occasionally hip-hoppity. I don't know. I thought I had something there. And I lost.
It's usually us bashing what we just did and talking about how bad we were.
Yeah, that's funny. Outtakes. I like outtakes. Outtakes are good. Bloopers, if you will. Kind of what we're doing now, just rambling.
Yes.
We think still telling.
There's not much else to talk about here. I hear my dog whining. I think she wants to go outside.
One more thought. Defensive camera perspective, your opinion.
I don't like it. What do you mean? Like what they did to it?
No, like the hypothetical possibility of it being required to be used in the league.
Oh, okay. So you can't enforce that without having both teams streaming both the whole game.
I mean, I think you can because I don't think we have any super untrustworthy people. I say that
100% disagree with that.
Oh,
100% disagree with that. I have no doubt that somebody in a fourth quarter on a tight drive is going to switch their camera and get a user pick. No, without a fucking doubt. No way that wouldn't happen. I don't trust it. That's why I don't trust Mixer. There's no way. I don't trust, I'd say half the guys I play with to not go look at my stream at some point, especially if they get pissed off.
I mean, I use Mixer because it's easier to set up.
Oh, dude, I prefer Mixer 100% but at the same time, I don't want guys watching the stream when it's live. You know,
like I sent you that video of me playing as the linebacker from that camera, but watching it from the offense's perspective. And you can tell the difference in how I played it versus because I think it was there's inside wide receiver was running a curl. Tight end on the left was coming across with a drag, and then a wide receiver was running a streak. I didn't even know the streak was there. I saw the curl, and then I saw the tight end coming open, and I went to cut him, and my quarterback threw the ball because I was in practice mode. And I was like, oh, he's throwing it to the tight end, and it went over my head for 20 yards.
Yeah, that would only happen with that camera view, but you can't prove that somebody used the camera view or didn't use the camera view. Is the problem.
I think like we had the discussion with the ball hawk on and off. Like if somebody thinks like that's easy to be like, okay, you have to go to your settings and turn your camera on first and then go to your settings after the game because you can't change it in game, or you can, I can't remember.
Right, you can't.
That's easy to prove. This is literally, unless you are streaming at that time, you don't know.
You'd never know.
I think I don't know. And also, by the way, it's not fun to watch somebody play on that camera.
It's not, but I do think it'd be better it'd be a better game experience, and sliders would change if we had to use that camera view because interceptions
would go way down.
Oh, dude! Right now, interceptions are dumb. Even with ball hawk, I thought for sure we'd see a drop in user picks? No, we don't. I don't think ball hog it does what it did in the past. In the past, you turn that shit off and user picks would drop tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I think I told you what it was. Like the top 7 interceptions are linebackers, and then the top one is a safety who's actually usered as a linebacker. So, I mean, dude, the most OP thing in the game is user roaming by far. By far. If you're decent at it, it's by far the most overpowering thing in the game right now. Just the current, I guess you could say, the meta of Madden. That's the most overpowering thing you can do. There's nothing you can do about it because you can't. That league I played in for like a half a week, whatever it was, and they had the no roaming and no user picks. You can't do both. You can barely do one, but you can't do both. It made usering linebackers stupid. You're at a disadvantage because you couldn't even get an interception with a linebacker. So you almost had to use a defensive line. So, and you don't want a league full of guys using defensive line because even using defensive line, you can't get off a damn block. With Cam Jordan, I'm better off letting Cam Jordan get off the block than I am trying to do it with a user.
Oh, right. I don't disagree with that. Like, as you said, with leagues that like institute rules that say you have to follow the play art to the T to a point that defeats the purpose of even playing the game almost. Like
you can't do that. You can't even do that because that's not completely sim either. Because a lot of times they'll call it's like a screen pass, man. If you see a screen, well, I can't defend it because I'm supposed to be covering this guy over here. That doesn't make sense. In the NFL, the guy sees a screen. That's the whole point in doing a fake, is to fake the guy out. You know, not just following the play art.
That league you're talking about had a rule where if you're in a zone and it's a running play, you're not allowed to hit the running back in the backfield.
Yeah, no. What they were saying was, if you're in a zone, your first step should be back, not straight blitzing as soon as the ball's hiked, which is dumb because what if it's a run? Why wouldn't you? You can't have these rules. It's partially why I left that, and people were just assholes. But I'm trying to push back a game 30 minutes to an hour, and the guy's like, "We have a scheduled time." All right, dude. Obviously, we're not going to get along here. Like, I'm going to my parents or whatever it was. It was stupid.
I would just like to say there's a common theme here of you being in leagues with people that are assholes, and the theme is you.
Well, that's fair too.
Maybe you just think everybody's an asshole.
I do. I think a lot of people are assholes.
Why do you hang out with me all the time then? I don't get it.
Because there's some assholes that I get along with.
That sounded kind of gay.
A little bit. Anyway, I do think it would be good. I wouldn't mind the...
I think the idea is fun. It's one of those things.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
And it's just... It would be really difficult to implement. Not just like making sure people are doing it. It's a lot of things that you aren't used to. Because I did it in practice mode for like an hour. And I was like, tackling is completely different. Your depth perception is way off. I am diving like 5 yards in front of people I am running directly at.
But you'll adjust to that.
Yeah, but
you can learn that.
At what point in a cycle do you want people doing that much adjusting, and how long is it going to take? If you're talking season 6, which is the last user season, and now we have to spend maybe more than half of it adjusting, that sucks. You know what I'm saying?
No, it would change the offense and the defense completely. I mean, it'd be hard to adjust to it. You're right. But
I'm not saying offense would become like easy.
I think you would lose that 13 guy waiting list though. When you end up putting rules like that in, I can tell you from experience that I ran leagues that had ridiculous rules like that, and it's really hard to recruit. And you start telling guys like, "Man, you have to use this camera." Well, I'm not using that camera. I'm just not gonna play in the league.
I think like the best idea that I think I saw someone say was for like, because season 7 we're gonna sim the season but play the playoffs. Maybe do it for that.
I don't know, man.
Because nobody cares about season 7 anyways.
No, but you could get you a Super Bowl win, and you're going to kind of be at a disadvantage. I don't know.
Man, if you want to use the camera, use the camera. How about that? I don't give a shit. You want to be a badass and use that camera and win games and or lose games. That's up to you.
I like the idea. I don't like how you'd have to implement it. I think it would be too hard unless both teams stream.
It's one of those things where if there was a setting in the league where you could just be like on, off, everybody does this, everybody does that. Like, why isn't like things like ball hawk and all that kind of shit a league setting that just like fucking sets it for everybody?
It should be definitely ball hawk in those settings should be a league setting.
Because I was in another league for like a week, and like they allowed ball hawk. This league doesn't. I went to my main menu settings and I turned ball hawk off, and then I went to that league and I turned ball hawk on, and I went back to my main game settings and it turned ball hawk back on. So if you have ball hawk on in another league, guess what? It's on in this one right now. Just so you know.
I just checked mine to be sure it's still off. Especially after I had 2 picks today.
There was a game, I think I was playing the 49ers, and about halfway through I was like, did I turn that off? I don't remember. And then I went back and checked. I was like, yeah, I turned that off. Because I don't even think I got a pick during the game. But I was just like, I think I was going for a pick, and like in my brain I was like, wait a minute. No, I'm good.
It makes me paranoid after a game like that. Like today, I'm like, man, is it
all?
on?
Like early in, like when we first did it and everybody was talking about, it just randomly turned on. What I assume is they were going into a separate league and turning it back on and not realizing it was turning it on in this league.
That was probably some of it.
I don't know.
Is there any other rules that we may change or something? I would like to see kick power go up. I was so annoyed with that today, man.
I mean, kick power probably won't go back up, but ice the kicker got fixed. I guess if you call it a fix, that's something.
It is fixed because I thought that was the cheesiest shit, the way to get around that.
Like, okay, the first time I ever saw somebody do that was, I'm going to throw some names out. Nobody here but Rich knows, or maybe J-Shock might know him, is George did it to Bjenko in believe it was a playoff game because this was in Rich's old league, called timeout on George. George ran another play, spiked the ball, kicked a field goal, won the game. And it was, at the time, the smartest thing I'd ever seen, also the cheesiest.
Oh, it was, everybody had the same reaction because we're all watching the game. It was like, you can do that? What the hell was that? He just got around this thing, like, and it didn't make sense. And I knew I was, obviously I was the commissioner at the time, but I was like, I don't think we should allow this. But how do you tell guys not to?
Right.
Like it.
I also like the dev notes of why they did that because, like, obviously, if you're running your kicker on and off the field, like, hypothetically you are, it's not putting him in a good mindset.
The dev notes for why they changed it now?
Yeah.
Because it's common fucking sense. That's why they had to change it. He's not gonna be iced and then run a play and then he's not iced. That doesn't make any sense. Either he's iced or he's not.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
really, the clutch thing the kicker should have a clutch straight. Like if you have Adam Vinatieri, he should never go to icing. You try to ice him, it should just be the same. But a young kicker, a rookie kicker without any kind of clutch straight, you should get the icing, and it should matter more.
You could throw a home field advantage in there too, because that should matter ever.
There's just tons of things you can do to make it more difficult. I think kicking's too easy in general. I thought that from the beginning. I don't think kick power was the answer, but I think kick accuracy is just it's too easy to make field goals.
I mean, it depends on how much lag you have, like anything.
Yeah, but even now, like I don't hit perfect that often, and I make almost every single one.
Did you make all of them today?
I did, except the 57-yarder that I was going to attempt. I called a timeout because I was like, I can't make it. I'm not 100% positive I could make the 57. I know for sure I can't make 58.
I had a 61 with the wind that the game took. Like, that's my problem right now, and I don't know why it's happening. Is I'll have the wind or not even have the wind, and it'll be like a borderline field goal. And when fourth down pops up, the play call screen says field goal. So in my mind, the game's telling me that I can make this kick. And then I kick it full power, even more full power, and I aim it down, and it's short.
that happens. Same thing today, though. Like, well, I think it was the Panthers game that when I figured out that something's not right, like the kick power changed. Was I was trying like a 58-yard field goal with Lutz, which he makes season one, and he makes all the time in my offline. That uses the same set that we use, and 58's no problem indoors. I always aim down. I think I hit it perfect, and it comes up short. Well, what the hell is this? And the same thing. I think 57 would have been too short. Also, even aim down and full power.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always like I think 50 is too much, but I've always dropped it to like 45 in whatever league I'm in.
I think in the past we're always at 45. I think even last year it was 45.
And the problem is always going to be the wind. The wind is wrong. The wind is broken in the game and has been for years. 11-mile-per-hour wind does not affect the ball as much as it should, or it affects it more than it should. Especially 11-mile-per-hour wind inside Dallas.
I guess I don't know how much it actually affects a football in the air.
Like unless in real life you're talking like 15 to 20 mile per hour winds. Like you don't really, man, I don't know. And that's majorly crosswinds.
See, I don't know. I don't know how much that actually affects it. I know if you're hitting a golf ball, 11 mile an hour wind is going to affect your flight of the ball. But
that's a lot more distance you're talking about. You're talking like 100 and 200 yards.
More distance, less weight, and higher in the air.
Yeah, you're hitting more wind. But I don't know anything about golfing. But what I do know is that $3,000 is a lot for a bicycle.
I don't know what you're talking about. Well, that's another thing. On the bike, you can feel 11 mile an hour wind for sure.
Why don't you talk about ribs or something?
Hey, man, those ribs are amazing today. I rode that $3,000 bicycle today twice.
Jesus fucking Christ. End this show now before I start singing Disney songs.
All right, we'll end it there. I gotta eat anyway. Eat those ribs I made earlier. So, well, that's going to be it. That's the season podcast. We're going to do another one probably after the season, maybe, or around the draft, a mock draft one. Look forward to the mock draft. So good luck, you guys.